Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Micks Mowers. And in today's episode I'm a bit stuck really, to be honest. I've got this Allen Pro strimmer which is due to be done. They've sent me the bits for it for the diaphragm gasket, but they're the wrong bits, so they don't fit. So I've had to get hold of a company to sort that out. So that's on hold. And also the big mount fill with a 21-inch cut that I'm doing. It appears that someone's been in there and pinched a couple of springs. I'm struggling to get that thing to idle. However, I do have a donor engine for that, so that'll be another back burner job. So I'm a bit stuck. However, I do have a mount filled with a RV150 engine on it, but the deck is blown. And I'm sure as eggs is eggs, I've got a donor deck around the side, which is not the best looking deck in the world. I shall be giving it a paint job in the end and what have you, but I just want to put it all back together, do an engine swap, deck swap and what have you, and try and get that engine or that mower complete. Once it's complete, I can then take the engine back off and give it a lick of paint. I'm going to use Amrite paint just to smooth it over, make it look quite nice and what have you. So that's what we're going to try and do today. So first part will be taking the old mower, stripping the deck down, getting it ready, and then we'll put the other bits all on it. So we're going from a push mower to a drive mower. That's the theory, and we'll see how we get on. So without further ado, let's get down and dirty and let's get this engine swapped over. Right, here it is, mount filled with an RV150. As you can see, big hole in the deck, and right under the exhaust, and I think it has pretty much all gone. This whole section's had it, which is a shame, but it's what it is. So the engine all runs. This came in as part of the job lot I had, and it's a drive mower. The drive all works, everything works as it should do. I'm hoping in the lawnmower graveyard over the back there, you can see I've got another mount field just there, which is a push. So I'm going to drag that out, and hopefully we can do something with this and try and make it all fit each other, and go from there. So let me drag it out. We'll get the old one up on the bench, have a quick inspection, and we'll see what happens. Right, it's quite important to note that not all lawnmowers are actually able to convert to drive to push and push to drive, but I'm pretty sure that this one we will be able to. Well, I hope so anyway. If not, it'd be a waste of time. So I've got to take some bits off of it, just to start to break it down. First thing to do is just disconnect the engine brake cable around the back here. Just pair along those pliers, pinch in the old cable, and just release that cable out and disconnect that. And that'll become a spare cable for me, so I'll have a spare. Stuff like the air filter, that can come off as a good spare. I should probably actually just take off the carb as well. I think the carb is good on this one, but the engine is US. It's terminal. It's got a crack casing, so the air filter will be okay. It'll be good for a second-hand spare. Bang of 3/8 in there. And a 13 or ½ inch in the middle. And all these bolts I'm taking off, that bolt alone is worth about £4 on eBay, you know, to buy brand new. It's got some good linkages on here, which I want to keep as well. So that go to one end as a spare. I should remove the linkages as well. I'll do it in a bit, but I might get this one off quite quick. There's one. These are quite fiddly this end. You don't want to break them if we can help it. Let's remove it from there first. That's that one. You don't want to just pull them off, but it's getting a bit hard to see with my peepers at the minute. There it goes. There's two. So that's that. I can also keep the head linkages as well. The O-rings off of the carburetor can come off. So all that sort of good stuff I'm going to save. Okay. All the switch, the coil, it's all good. So I should break that all down at a later date, so I can have them for spares. the next thing I want to do, I want to remove the top of a cable, or top of the arm assembly, because I'm going to be converting it to the newer style drive ones. So, right, that's that removed. And so it's got a good cable on it and a good handle on it, so I can use that for another mower. So just put that to one side. Right, next thing I want to do is remove the blade on this. Oh, what size is that? 15? No, that's too big. So the next thing I want to do is remove the blade. 14mm socket goes on. Put that to one side for a spare blade. The boss doesn't have to come off, but I want to take it off at a later date because it's a good boss. So if it won't come off just with a little bit of tap theory, then I should put the puller on it a bit later on to see if I can get it off with a puller. Yeah, it's coming. So that's come off. There's a keyway in there as well, which I want to try and keep. It should be inside on the keyway. It's just there, just felt it. So there's a keyway, keep them because they're a couple of quid each for a keyway. Right, now what we can get on and do is change it down to from a 14 to a 13. Grab a 13mm spanner and we can start to take the engine off. So put a 13mm on one of the bolts on this side. You can make an impact. So I've got 3 of these bolts to remove. I'm going to keep hold of them because the engine bolts are good for spares. There's one down this far side here somewhere. You just locate it before I oil coming out the engine. I put a rag down, but let me just try and get this one removed. It's just slipped off, I think. It was moving. Bear with. I've got my D-Walt. I dropped that once today already and cracked it. I'll get a reasonably good fit on it. And there goes that one. I'll get the bolt out. Comes. So I've now dropped. Take that nut off of there. Bear with me. Working a bit cag-handed here. Got one more at the top here to do. But this engine will come loose. I'll get the spanners to sit on. Nearly there. I'm just going slow because I don't want the engine to drop. Which it may do. It's coming now. There it goes. I'll just pick the nuts and bolts up in a bit because they're good spares. Engine comes off. And that'll then just give me the deck, which actually is in good nick. So I'll do a clean up and I'll come back. Right, I've got to remove this one front wheel now. So I think they're different on the other one. This one lever does all. So I'm going to remove this front wheel as well whilst we're here. Good. Another nut here to remove. That's it. Right, and that's pretty much the lawnmower in the broken state that I want it to be in. And I'm hoping, as I say, this will all now fit when I go to transfer the engine over to the other one with the axles and everything else. I'm hoping it's all going to fit in together. Let's take this one out and we get the new one in. Start to break that one down. Right, I've got the engine back in. So pretty much it's the same as the other one to a degree. The other one had a Briggs engine on it, this has got an RV on it, so slightly different. Just want to pull this dead man's handle cable out. There it goes. Come on. Don't fight me. There it goes. So that's that off. And then I've got a throttle linkage to remove also. Which should be a 10mm. And my mummy's just given me a bacon egg sandwich for lunch whilst I'm working away. How good's she? That's good. Got to feed the warriors. Air filter comes off. All that comes off together. Got a gasket on the back there which I mustn't lose. Keep all that together. And then down here we've got a Phillips, which is next to my bacon sandwich, or flathead. Undo that one. Not a very good day in the old household today. Mum's had to have a cat put down, or one of them anyway. She's got two, but Marmee wasn't very well. He was quite ill. It just means someone's put a blade upside down. That's not having it. I have to get the big boy out. Alright, let's try it with the old big boy. That was on there. The blade looks very, very thin. Yeah, very thin. I might put the other blade on that when it comes to it. I've got a 13mm bolt to put up in there as well to remove the cover, which is that one there. What I do is put these on there, absolutely solid. And then down here I've got some little screws to remove, which are absolute pigs. What I generally do is just put a grinder to them. If I can't remove them, I'm not going to be able to do them either. So yeah, that'd be a grinder job. Just going to put a slit in them and turn them into flatheads. So let me just do it quick and I'll get them out. Right, and with those now been cut to take a flathead, they should now very easily and very quickly just remove with a flatheaded driver. Don't waste time on mole grips or anything like that. Just put a grinder to them and turn that screw from a Phillips to a flathead. Takes 2 seconds. And they come out ever so quick. It's only in plastic, so it can't corrode in there. I've seen people put mole grips on them, use impact punches and all sorts of stuff, and you just turn them into a flathead driver. You can actually reuse them as well. Right, once that come off our washer, that's off that 30mm at the top. And now that will all come off as it is. Nice and clean. Put that in the spares. Would like to get this boss off if possible. I've got to remove the belt from this one, so I can then come on. That's why I pinch my fingers. There it goes. Right, that's the belt off. That boss is going to stay on, I think. Yeah, right. So I want to put a ring spanner now on the back end, so I can now remove that engine. Let that spanner go. I'm going to drop that spanner now. A bit fiddly. That's one engine bolt. That's the hardest one to remove, just for access. There it goes. Now we can go for the second one, which is up the top. Try and tip the engine over a bit more. That's got a slightly longer stem on it because that's where the cover went on for the belt guard. I don't know who is doing these up. They are proper on there. That's red hot. Take that one out. And then we've got one more to remove. It's going to be here. Once you start spinning on me. Get rid of catchy engine on this one, so just get hold of the engine just so it doesn't completely drop down. I'm trying to hold the engine at the same time. There it goes. There goes my torch for a Burton. Just didn't want to drop the engine. That can all now come back up onto its wheels without knocking everything else over. This is why I need my bigger workshop up and running. So I'm just running out of space to work. It'll all come eventually. I'm nearly there. About another 200 pounds should do it, I think. And I should have my new shop. That's the theory anyway. Just trying to remove this pull cord now. That's that done. And that engine now should lift straight out. And that's that bit done. Right. With that now done, I want to turn my attention to the underside. I've got wheels to remove, front and back, front axle, back axle. All that's got to come out. I've got to disconnect this adjustment bar mechanism, and that's why it's all rotted out. Look, just at one spot. It's a grass. It's just eating it. That's all it is. So, just going to remove these wheels now. Take the covers off. They're all 13 mils. Get that done, and I'll come back very quickly. Right, front wheels have been removed, and now onto the backs. The backs have got a 10mm bolt that holds them on, and then they're also followed up by a circuit of some description, which is on the cog. So just put your circuit pliers in, try and hold it as best you can, because they do have a habit of jumping up and biting you. Keep hold of them. That's that one. The cog will come off then. There's a little tiny split pin in there as well, that's got to be removed. And then a little tiny retainer, followed by another pin on top. So there's two lots of pins to remove. And then all of that will lift off of the axle, keep it all together, and that all sitting there like that. And it'll be exactly the same for the other side as well. So I'll tip it over and get the other side done, and I'll come back. Right, just enjoy my bacon sandwich. Very nice indeed. Okay, so that's now the back axle's been taken apart that end. What we can now start to do is start to remove the whole axle assembly and take the belt off. That can come out. Excuse me for eating a mouthful. We've got a little tiny rod to remove in a minute. So I've got to try and get this this assembly out before I can do any of that. And also remove the drive cable from where it sits. Now there is a spring that sits on this gearbox that holds it in place. That's got to be removed first. So we'll pair long nose snips. Right, next is to remove the spring off of this gearbox. It sits all the way down inside the depths and it holds the gearbox down. The just by pulling it up, you better release that, and it just sits on the underside of the inside the deck, and it holds that gearbox down. So just get a hold of it. It's a bit fiddly, but it's got to come off because it's holding the gearbox in place. And it goes there. That's now come off. Just want to see where it's connected. It's right down the bottom. There's only one place for it to go, right way down the centre, and that's the long piece that goes nearest the wheels. Okay, that comes off, and now to a degree we can now bring the drive cable, which is going to be that one, bring that up a touch, just give it a bit of slack. I might disconnect it off of the mower. Right, with that now removed, what all I've done is just disconnected the drive cable off of the handle, and that will then give us a bit more slack to play with on this cable. Just want to snip a few more cable ties off, just so it's not quite so restricted. One there, and one there. And now, that should give me a bit more slack on this cable. Bring it on up, and hopefully just enough to get this gearbox out. Then we can tip it around, and that will expose the actual cable itself, which is going to be here, and I'll take it out of its housing just here. Just want to spin it round a touch, so I'll just get a hold of it. Come on, there you come, and then just pinch the two sides like so and push that back, and that will come out. They're quite fiddly, but once you get them moving and with a bit of therapy, they come out just like that. Pull that out and then disconnect it off of the axle, and there's your axle. So that's that. That's your drive cable. That'll be coming out as well very shortly. Just pull it through. There'll be a rubber bung the other side of it, which should be holding it, but just remove the rubber bung with your fingers, and that'll lift out. Or a pair of pliers or something. It's just there, look. Let's get a hold of that and pull that out. It's a bit hard to do it cack-handed because I'm trying to hold a mower up at the same time. I've got one on the other mower, so I'm not overly concerned if I damage it. Let me get a flathead driver on that. It might be a bit easier. There it comes, and that'll all come out. So now we're starting to win. Right, back over again, and now we're starting to see it to expose the whole lot. Now I've got to remove the height adjustment, which is this rod here, and it's connected via both ends of the front axle and the back. And it's got a little coupling on the inside here, like a U shape. Now you won't be able to get that out. You have to physically take it out the front axle first to give you the movement you require on this rod. So I'll get out the front axle end. Okay, to start work on the front axle end, you want a Phillips driver. You know, undo. There's about 4 Phillips screws to come out on each end, and this will release this front cover business. There's a couple there. There's a couple the other side. Just here. Those two. Okay, with those ones, we've now got to remove this Allen key one on each side as well. Let me try and write the right Allen key first time, might help. Which is too big. Let me next one down. Which is that one. Now these have a tendency not to come out. Now what happens is they sometimes shear and spin the whole bolt, but I think that one's got it. If you break these, you're game over to a certain degree. They've got a retaining nut inside there, which they do actually come out, so keep an eye out for them in case they drop. Put something magnetic in maybe, just to try and encourage it out. Oh, I'm going to play hide and seek with me, dear. There it is. So take that out, because you'll need to put that back in a bit later on. There's that on there to do. And then flip it over again. And all this has to be repeated when you put it all back in, unfortunately. Because it's different on the other one. On the other one I've got, there is a full wheel height adjustment, so rather than just off of one. So take that one out. And again, you're after that little tiny nut inside there that will come out. It's coming. There should be. Take that one out. And that's that bit done. Okay. That will now pivot round. And that should come straight off. Got a little tiny clamp on them, which requires a screwdriver just to separate them up, like that, and then that whole front will come off. Now you can now remove the front assembly, take that axle off, this whole back cover off, which is exactly the same as the front. You've got 2 screws here to remove, these 2 here to remove, and then this whole cover will then remove out, and then that will then give you more room to manipulate. So let's get that done. Right, let's get this back section off now. This is going to be harder because these bigger bolts have a tendency not to come out, and if they don't come out, then we're sort of up the creek and no paddle. But hopefully they'll come. Hopefully. So if those 2 come out of there, there's 2 the other side to do. There's one. And there's the other. And this will give some of the people who have asked questions before, how do you replace those nuts, these bigger ones, because sometimes they do shear off. How do you get at them? Well, this is exactly how you do it. You've got to remove the entire back cover. So I'm trying now remove these handlebars. That'll just make it a bit easier to work on, because they're fighting, the lawnmower's fighting me now because it's outweighed or not balanced. So move that one. Same the other side. Mind the old china plate, can almost smash that, because Mum will go crazy. That bacon sandwich was absolutely lovely. But I'll have to do this to the other one as well. But before I went any further, I want to make sure that these ones actually came out. As I say, they have a tendency not to. Right, that's that bit done. That's a complete set of mountfield bars. They're worth about 50 quid the whole lot on the selling sites, to the right person. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is I want to remove these bigger ones. Just here. They've got to come out next. Now, they do have a tendency not to. They don't like being unseated. But we'll see how we get on. Hopefully they'll both come out. You only want one not to, and it's game over. They'll have to be drilled out, retapped, and they're an absolute pickle. So there's one. Fingers crossed they all come. That was cracked. Turn it over again. Onto the other side. 2 more to remove. They're getting tighter, I'm getting older. One or the other. This one here, hopefully this one will come out as the last one. Yeah, good. But don't always, as I say, sometimes they're absolute pickles. This deck can go to my old scrap man when he turns up. That's that bit. Right, let's just put these nuts and bolts away so I don't lose any of those. And they all belong to the same piece, so I'll just keep them all together. And I'll be back in 2 ticks. All I'm doing is just punch that pin halfway through, just to get hold of it, and then just start to lever it out, like so. That's that. And goes that back flap, and that's now still being held on somewhere in here. There's one screw just up in here somewhere. I just spotted it, a little self tapper. Just in here, and there's one in there. Let's change the design of them slightly. Hope that'll come out. I doubt it will. Yeah, it's coming. One there, and there'll be one up in here. Are you getting that, are you? Yeah, one in there. If I can see it. Oh, it's full of stuff in there. Let me get my air compressor and just clean it out a touch. Now let's have a little look at him here. There he is. That's where I said it was. So just remove that one as well. I'll try and get it on the screen so you can see, but I can't see a lot when I put it down there. That's a problem. There she is. It's quite a faff, you know. It's taken me nearly an hour to do that. I've not taken one apart for a long while. So now I'm hoping that will now release. That all comes out as is. That can go for a Burton. Don't lose any of his bits. A lot of grass have been impacted in there like that. I'll have a bit of a tidy up. And that box can now go into the new one. You don't have to disconnect the front axle, which is cool. And we'll go from there. So this one's got to come out, because this one, it sits in the side first, so you can be manipulated out, and you can't do that when it's inside. So that's a shame, but there you go. These challenges are sent here to test me. So again, it's going to be the 4 screws to come out, 2 each side, and then the 2 that hold the flap on to release the actual plastic bit. The bottom handlebars have got to come off, and that's what I'm a bit wary of, if they actually come off or not. But we shall see in no less than about 5 minutes. Bring it around so you can see what's going on a bit. If you can't see, just shout out. Just say, Mick, I can't see anything. So I'm moving the lawnmower about at quite a pace. That one comes out. Good. This one looks corroded. Oh. Good boy, well done. That's that one. We'll put the Allen key on these, and hopefully they're going to come out. If they don't, we've had it. Oh. I don't think that's going to come. No, that's not. Oh my word. Ready for that? Hey man. Oh, I don't know if it's going to move or not. I might just be rounding off on the inside. Oh. It's not going to come. So now we're at stalemate because this is the deck I want, and this is the issue you have. Let me put a 13mm on that first, just to remove these other ones. They should come because they've got a bolt on them, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to. That one's come out. That one's come out. They're good to go there. So that's good. I've got 2 screws to remove up here, remember? Which should be one in here somewhere. Can't see. I think that was coming to a degree. Yeah, that one's coming. So what I can do, I can always just cut them off if need be. But that's the problem with these. They do like to snap off. Where's his brother? He's got to come out. Excuse me for not showing you, but let's see what's going on. Yeah, that one's corroded too, so that ain't going to come out without a fight. So I'm a bit stuck here now. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to try and get my Dremel tool into here to put that into a flathead, and then have to cut these ones off maybe. Let me have a quick look at it and I'll come back. Got one of them screws out, or 2 of the screws out, so that's good. That should now lift off, just with a bit of prying, like so. So that's that bit done. So now it's just a problem with these ones over here, and what's happening is the plastic is now broken inside, and I can't physically get to the back of a nut. I can't access it full stop. So we've got an issue, and the only way around it I can think is to actually cut them off, because that's not gonna have it at all. I can't even turn that, and when it does turn, it's just jumping because of the nut is spinning. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut that off with my grinder, because I've got the other one I've got is good, so hopefully that'll come off. Right, that's now been ground off. Just cut the bolts off, and hopefully I can split this enough just to remove that casing. Unfortunately, that casing has now had it, so I can't get the nuts out of there. So unless you can find a way of actually extracting those, then that's no good. So that goes to the bin later on. I've got a bit of a wire brush going on here, bit of a sort out. Eventually I'll be stripping it all down again to sell it on, to all be painted, but I just want to make it all together first, make sure it all works, otherwise there's no point in me investing in it. So quick wire brush, and then we'll start to reassemble.